right, everyone. This is just the first video in the mini series that I promised about a week or so ago, talking about my time as a Liberty University student. Now, if you don't know already, I actually attended Liberty University for my first semester in the fall of 2009 as an online student. Then between the spring of 2010 to the spring of 2014, I was an on-campus residential student. Then I guess it was between August of 2014 to October of 2017, I actually worked at Liberty University Online as an academic advisor. And during my time working there as an employee, I actually worked on my second master's degree, as well as a collection of five graduate certificates, specifically in religion. They're all from the School of Religion. Now, the reason I'm doing this video series is because on this channel, I've been doing YouTube for a couple of years now, but it didn't really blow up until around last June. And I left my job as an academic advisor in the fall of 2017, basically October of 2017, to become a full-time YouTuber. I'm also a blogger. I'm just doing, I'm self-employed, I guess is the best way to put it. So I wanted to do something special just to kind of spice up the channel. That way it doesn't feel like I'm just regurgitating everything Tyler Perry related. Now, if you're new to the channel, or if you're been on the channel for a while, you'll notice that in the past couple of weeks I've been posting non-Tyler Perry related content, whether it be about other TV shows, other franchises, or just life in general, especially after the tornado that hit Lynchburg about a week or so ago. And being that Lynchburg is literally Liberty University in itself, I mean, there's literally everywhere you turn, there's a property that Liberty is either buying or building something on. And ever since, President Jerry Falwell Jr. endorsed Donald Trump, Liberty hasn't been in the best light in terms of public opinion. But I wanted to do this video series, not just one video, talking about my experiences as a Liberty University student, online and residential, as an employee. And I actually recorded like a 30-minute video a couple of weeks ago before I even announced this series, and I found that the video was a bit long-winded, and I decided to break up the video into multiple topics. And just to kind of give you a heads up, this video is going to focus on how I chose Liberty University as my college after I finished high school. Then I have other videos, and trust and believe that there are various topics between how it felt as a student, especially I'm African American, how it felt being on campus, when Barack Obama was re-elected. Yeah, that was a fun time. Talking about, how the school focused on politics, where I started to see the decline in a religion-focused university, and it really slipped into politics. Talking about relationships, and hey, that's always fun too, right? Talking about like my first semester. Now, I won't do a video for every single semester, because that's 2 semesters for 4 years, not counting the online ones. That will be about 8 videos. I feel like I'll kind of like scatter the topics around, well, the semesters itself. Like when I talk about relationships, that's going to cover my 4 years, like the different interactions I had with girls and things like that. This is probably going to be part 2, this particular topic here, talking about does Liberty University brainwash students in terms of, hey, you need to be a Christian, you need to abide by this specific doctrine that we teach, not what the Bible teaches, and so many things in between. And also, down the road, maybe not right away, I'll eventually talk about being an employee at Liberty University. And keep in mind, I work for the online department, so I didn't work residentially on campus. I remember my first year and a half, I think maybe 2 years, it was at the River Ridge Mall in Lynchburg, which was right across the train tracks from Liberty University's campus. And then we got transferred over from the mall to a legitimate call center, the Nationwide on Old Forest Road. I believe that's where it's located. It was a legitimate call center, so that was even further away from campus. So that was maybe a 10 or 15 to 20 minute route, depending on traffic and which way you took. So I can't really say exactly in detail what goes on behind closed doors, because even though I'm not an employee there, I'm not going to like blow the whistle on major things, because that's not what I'm here to do. So I just want to make it clear as a disclaimer that this isn't me bashing on Liberty University whatsoever. This isn't me giving you the scoop on the Falwells or anything like that. That's not what this video series is about. First and foremost, I am glad I chose Liberty University as my school. I enjoyed look. Even though in terms of decisions that have been made in recent years by the people running the school and things of that nature, it doesn't really matter, because my education, without question, I thoroughly enjoyed it from my first semester to my last semester, hands down. I look at my degrees and just like reminisce on the different presentations, the projects, the papers, and most importantly, the professors. The professors top notch in the field of study, and I loved it. So let me just get that out of your head right there. Like, this video series, if you're looking for videos to expose the Illuminati of Liberty University, really isn't it. This is about me kind of opening up to my audience here on YouTube, but also even if you don't choose Liberty University as your university of study, I also wanted to reach out to those of you, regardless of the age, well, specifically young people, if you're, at the cusp of ending high school and wondering what to do next. I actually have a few videos in the works about, is college really worth it? And talking about college is expensive, talking about financial aid and things of that nature. So hopefully these videos will, I guess you could say, maybe clear up some misconceptions about Liberty University, or maybe make you choose as your university of study, whether it be residential or online, who knows. But keep in mind that 2014 was my last residential year on semester on campus. And despite the fact that my current apartment is about not 10 minutes from campus, even when I was working at Liberty University, I feel out of the loop because a lot of things have changed. So take that at face value. So keep in mind when I talk about, I'll do my best to kind of give you the time frame of, like, when I talk about an event on campus, I'll tell you that, hey, and this happened during the fall of 2012. But you know what, just not to waste any more time, be aware that this is not the only video. I'm going to do a video series about Liberty University. So with that being said, let me just talk about how I chose Liberty University for the college that I went to. Basically, it was College for a Weekend, or CFAW, C-F-A-W, which is a event at Liberty University where they have, I think this happens, I want to say twice a semester, where high school students are invited to the campus to stay on the dorms. I think it was like, $50 or so. Was it 50? Yeah. Where I could go and you can bring a friend for, just a friend for free. Like, you go stay in the dorms in a room with college students. You get to attend the classes, go to the dining hall, go to a sporting event. So it's a very mixed bag of things you can do. Now, I remember in middle school, like in 8th grade, in my location back in my hometown in Virginia, middle school was 7th and 8th graders, and then high school was from 9th to 12th grade. And I remember taking some like aptitude tests, like all the students in 8th grade had to take it. And for some reason, I remember like I think it was like the summer before I started 9th grade in high school, I was already getting brochures about college campuses. And then during my junior year, I think, yeah, that's right, 11th grade, because that darn chemistry class was the death of me. I knew that class would be the death of me. I actually went to Liberty University for the first time as a college CFA, and this was sometime around, I would say, spring of 2007, I believe. It was either fall of 2007 or spring of 2008, and I remember staying on dorm 26, floor 1, actually, and great guys. I believe like it was like a Josh and it was 2 Joshes in the room, and yeah, it was weird. And Ryan, I think it was it 2 to a room or 3? I think it was 3 actually. But you know, just some great guys. So thumbs up for those guys because they really made this stay at Liberty University a pleasure. It was great. And just to kind of a spoiler warning, I actually went to CFA a second time with the same buddy of mine from back home, and we just had a blast. We had such a good time. We stayed on the same hall and the same room with the same guys because they were just that hospitable. Now, one of the guys was a aviation student, and thank God he didn't invite us to go on a plane. I've never been on a plane before. I don't do heights. And I remember one time me and my buddy were walking around campus, and he told us, you know, hey, I'm going to class, and he told us what plane he was flying, and we saw him flying up above head, you know, over the dorms. I was like, he wasn't that close on the dorms, obviously, but he was close enough in terms of we could see the number on the side of the plane. It was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Now, I want to be up front. I'm from a small town. Like, I mean, back in just the back necks of the woods. Like, you know, it wasn't a trailer park, but it was a back in the woods where there's nobody around. This is like, I guess you could say my home city, town, South Boston, Virginia, Halifax County. But then Clover, Virginia is like back in the woods, and that's where I lived at. Now, I live in an area where traffic consists mostly of deers and squirrels. This is not an exaggeration. And when it comes to South Boston in Halifax County, it's a very small town, like where Walmart is the mall. La Coretta is like the big time restaurant. I don't even eat Mexican food, so I've never stepped foot into one. And I think at the time we had like Golden Corral. I think in recent years we got a Route 21, but I think they actually closed it down recently. So I thought we were coming up, but you know, so when I went to Lynchburg, I had only been to Lynchburg, I can count on like one hand up until that point in my life. You know, I would occasionally go during holidays to like see the Easter Bunny and things like that. And that's just from memory. My aunts and, you know, would carry us up there sometimes. Like I had been to the mall a few times, but I've never like looked at Liberty University. The only time I recall hearing about Liberty University aside from brochures was when my mom would sometimes watch, like, let's say if there wasn't church on Sunday, because I remember at a time my home church, Bethel Grove Baptist Church, we only had church service once a month, like literally one Sunday out of the month. Second Sunday was our church service. Like for the other weeks or the Sundays in the month, there will be Sunday school and Bible study, but in terms of church service, it was really only one. Then I remember one time we got a new pastor, he brought it to two, where it'll be second and fourth Sunday. So you had those other weeks without service. So sometimes as a kid, you know, when we weren't watching Bozo the Super Sunday show, we would be watching Thomas Road Baptist Church, Dr. Falwell, the original Dr. Falwell, Jerry Falwell, that founded the university. That was, you know, unfortunately, I never got a chance to meet him while he was alive. That was my only time seeing him on TV. And as a child, I really only first heard of him during the whole thing where it was, what, you know, talking about like the Teletubbies, what was it, the purple one, Tinky Winky, like he might have been gay, or Bert and Ernie and stuff. Yeah, I know at the time it was kind of bad. I mean, I really didn't associate the name Falwell in a positive light, because I remember being a kid and watching those programs, especially during summer, you know, when you're off of school and you're just at home watching cartoons all day while everybody's else at work. Those were the days. And I was like, man, that's not cool. He's like attacking all the shows I watch. And it's like, I never really thought of it that way. But yeah, aside from that, that's really all I knew of him, was from the TV itself. And when I came to Lynchburg, you know, for that weekend, me and my friend were blown away, because Lynchburg had Chick-fil-A and, you know, buffet restaurants and Toys R Us. And to be honest, I had it planned out. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to wake up early. Me and my buddy were going to go to a couple classes. We didn't go to any classes. I remember the first day where my parents dropped us off at the Moss Hall, where we checked in and whatnot. And then after that, they left. I'll tell you, this was the moment that I chose Liberty without even knowing it. Now, my mom, at the time, I wasn't good with money in terms of keeping track of money, but I knew, like, you know how it is when your mom gives you like $20 to go somewhere, and it's like, bring back my change, or, you know, or sometimes it's like, here's $20, but don't spend it. I couldn't be the only one raised like that, right? Now, I know she gave me like $50 for the weekend or something like that, you know, the checking money and then spending money. for like food and whatnot, because, you know, we did have a food pass and all, but you just never know. So I remember going to the mosque and being in the line, you know, going by last name, checking in. I handed the money to the woman, and me and my buddy were walking from the mosque hall to the dorm. It was halfway back when I realized I gave that woman too much money. I went back and explained the story. And I know I said I'm bad with money, but look, when you only have X amount of dollars in your pocket and you spend some, you know for a fact if you spent too much or if you didn't get enough back. That was my situation. Now, for the life of me, and again, this was back in 2000. This is over 10 years ago, so I don't remember the woman's name, but I can picture her face. So thank God for that woman, because she was the one, without even knowing it, she was the reason I chose Liberty University when it came down for me to decide on what college to go to, because I went back to her and explained the story about, hey, I gave you X amount of, I gave you like $10. I think I gave her like $20 extra, because I think it was like what, 45 or something to check in, and I gave her 60, and I didn't get my change back. That's what it was. It wasn't that she gave me too little back. She didn't give me my change back. I explained the story to her, and she, like, because I don't know why, but there weren't any records, like there weren't any receipts or anything. Yeah, that was weird. But basically, I explained the story. She believed me. She's like, you know what? I don't have the records, but I know you were just here, because she remembered my face. But yeah, she believed my story, and she gave me the money back. And it was at that moment that I didn't know, and she didn't know, that that's when I chose Liberty University as my school. So me and my buddy went back, had a good time. And this shows you how small of a town in the back of the woods that we lived in. Like, I got a, you know, we just had a ball riding on the campus buses, because the only time, aside from like the charter buses back in elementary school and whatnot, we would take field trips to go to like Jamestown and zoos and whatnot back in public school. I ain't never been on a bus like that. So the only time I can recall being on, or excuse me, visually seeing myself on a bus like that was back during when Hey Arnold was the big thing on Nickelodeon. You know, they'll be on the bus and they'll pull the string for the bus to stop. So we got a thrill just doing that. I mean, yeah, that sounds corny as heck, but we didn't go to any classes. But I'll tell you one thing, I'll never forget, after getting like the brochures and the pamphlets and whatnot at the check-in, going back to the dorm room, and I realized I forgot my book bag in my parents' car. Like, you know, my book bag that had my notepad, paper, and whatnot. Basically, I felt like lost in college before I even started college. You know what I mean? So I remember opening the book, and the guys in the room were like, hey, man, don't worry about it, because they gave you a bag at the check-in. Plus, I got an extra notebook and pen you could borrow. So I remember opening up that schedule, and I almost passed out. That was probably the first time I ever remember having like a panic attack or whatever, because I was so overwhelmed by like all of the majors, all of the classes, all of the scheduling. Like, my mind was not ready for that. I mean, now, you know, I'm 26 years old, and after being an experienced college student as well as an employee, helping students get registered for classes and whatnot, it's a walk in the park. But when I first saw that schedule, my nose, to me, I was already, you know, taking Liberty level classes without knowing it. But at the end of the day, yeah, me and my friend, we didn't go in any classes. We did not go to any classes whatsoever. We just went to Toys R Us, because again, there's no Toys R Us back at home. I was 16, 17 at the time. I had never stepped foot in one in my life. I went to Thomas Road for a service. That was amazing, because I had only seen it on TV. Because I think a Dr. Falwell passed away at like a semester before I went to CFA, or at the beginning of the semester I went as a CFA. So yeah, fast forward to, well, actually I did go to convocation as well. That was pretty fun. I went through the mosque and whatnot, went to the cafeteria. It felt like Saved by the Bell, you know, like the Max. I believe the Max is like the restaurant, like either adjacent or very next to the school where Zach Morris and his crew would go to hang out all the time. The reason I say it reminded me of Saved by the Bell is because all the wacky colors that were like inside of the cafeteria itself. But yeah, so to sum it up, you know, how I chose Liberty was that experience at the check-in with the money. But also when it came down to picking the college, Liberty was the only one I actually physically went to. But I treated like college applications like the lottery. You know, you can't win if you don't play. And I remember that at the time, you know, a bunch of the college applications were like, hey, if you turn in your application by X, you know, within the next 2 weeks, 30 days, we're going to waive the application fee. So I know I applied to like 60 schools, and this is an exaggeration. I got into, I know probably all of them but two. I think it was Harvard, Yale. Wait, did I apply to Yale? No, I wanted to, but the application fee was too high. Harvard and Virginia, University of William and Mary. That was it. The only reason I didn't get in was because SAT scores, which are stupid, and that's another video for another time. So at the end of the day, I remember sitting on the floor with like 30 colleges in front of me, and my mom was like, well, you better pick one. And yeah, it was Liberty, because really it boiled down to a Virginia school, because you know, at the time, you know, I was learning about the fact that it's difficult to transfer credits to an out-of-state university. Liberty, I mean, it's only like literally I live maybe 55 minutes to an hour away from my original home, my parents. So like sometimes I'll go down, visit my folks whenever, because, well, I'm close to them. And yeah, it was Liberty. Yeah, it was Liberty. So thinking about when it came down to decide on what college, I just remember my time as a college for a weekend student, and I remember just the atmosphere. Like, you know, yeah, you know, the Liberty bubble and whatnot, but that atmosphere was just very, very good. I just enjoyed my time there. So, yeah, guys, so that was my first video in my series talking about Liberty University. Next up, we're going to be talking about, you know, how I had doubts in my faith as a Christian, growing up in a Baptist church, as well as, you know, does Liberty University brainwash its students? So with that being said, if you liked what you heard in this video, let me know in the comment section below. You know, if you're a Liberty student, if you're deciding on a college, if you're in a college now, and do you have any other kind of Liberty University related questions? Because like I said before, I'm looking at a list literally in front of me right now of about 7 to 10 other videos in this series. So depending on how well this video does, I'd say within the next 3 days, 72 hours, I'll definitely be posting part 2 sometime in the near future. I'm trying to decide on what to call this series. Like, I know Swoozy, very popular YouTuber, does like, you know, confessions, or he started off doing like confessions of ex-Disney employee or cheating in middle school, high school and whatnot. So maybe this will be like confessions of a former Liberty student, and then when I talk about OU, I'll talk about confessions of an ex-Liberty University employee. It's in the works. So with that being said, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you later.